this creates enormous pressure for Ukraine, of course, not for Russia, not for the United States, not for Trump, not for Putin, but for Ukraine, because Ukrainian people are living in terrible conditions during the winter time without heating and electricity and water. And Putin hopes that this pressure will force Ukrainian people to agree to capitulate. That's it. So Trump, of course, is forcing Ukrainians to meet again for the same reason. He needs Ukraine to capitulate, because without Ukrainian capitulation and without the demobilization of Ukrainian army, Putin is not able to proceed into Europe and to help Trump to defeat democracy generally in the world, but mainly in Europe, because the main democratic power of the world is actually democracy of Europe.
As you said, we still see pressure on Ukraine from the United States. Talks about territories now only concern Ukrainian ones. That is, you Ukrainians give Donbas and you Russians take it. No compromises or agreements. What does Trump really want from Zelensky?
Well, first of all, we have to understand that for Russia, Ukraine was never the end game. It was not about Ukraine. In 22, Putin sincerely believes that he would be able to take Ukraine, after a very short blitzkrieg kind of war. This didn't happen. We know why, because Ukrainians started to fight. And but the idea is still the same, to take the entire Ukraine. So for Putin to mention Donbas, it's a kind of trick, because that's not where he's going to stop. By the way, the battle for Donbas started not in 22. The battle for Donbas started in 2014. So since 2014, the Russian army is not able to take Donbas. And Russians are not able to take Ukraine. That's what important to understand. Russians are not able to take Ukraine. Russians are not able to take Donbas. That's why they are trying to force Ukraine to surrender territories through political pressure and through negotiations, because militarily speaking, Russia is not able to fulfill political goals of the Russian state. Russian army is not able to help the government to fulfill political goals of the Russian state. So for Putin, it's important to force Ukraine to capitulate, because then he will proceed to Moldova immediately, and as soon as he's done with Moldova, to Eastern Europe. That's precisely what Trump needs, because he has several democratic fronts on which he is fighting. The main one and very important one, of course, is in the United States, and this is literally half of the United States. And we see this battle which Trump is conducting in democratic states of the United States. Then, of course, in Northern America, it's Canada, and we see that several days ago Trump announced that he would introduce 100% tariffs against Canadian goods. Now, when you introduce 100% tariffs, these are not tariffs. These are actually this is trade war. And he's doing this. By the way, Canada is equal to the United States in size. It's a huge country, and Canada is the main partner trade partner of the United States. Canada is number one, Mexico is number two, and China is number three. So Canada is actually a very important democratic country, trade partner, political partner, traditionally, which became for Trump a very crucial enemy. And the main block of democracy, of course, is European Union. So that's why we see that it's very important for Trump to create an enemy out of Europe. And we see all these, attempts, rhetorical, economical, to force Greenland, which is part of Denmark, which is a member of NATO, to surrender its independence. And this is done not just in order to get Greenland. What I think is not going to happen, of course, for various reasons. Number one, actually, there is an agreement signed between Greenland and the United States in 1951, which basically allows to the United States to use Greenland for military purposes in case the United States needs to do this. I mean, there is no reason, actually. There is no reason for the United States to own this territory or to pay for this territory, to buy this territory. I mean, there is no reason for this at all. Americans actually are allowed by the agreement of 1951 to do in Greenland whatever they want if they think that this is necessary. So this is done for political reasons. This is done in order to ruin relations between Europe and NATO and the United States. So I think this will continue. And if this would not be enough, then Trump would start to demand something like NATO's participation in the securing of southern border of the United States. If this would not be done enough, then he will demand that NATO troops would be participating in the fight against illegal immigration inside the United States. And one way or another, at the end, we will hear that the United States are leaving NATO because NATO is not helping the United States in defending its territory. But this is done again in order to help Putin to invade Eastern Europe, because then Europe will be involved in war, and then the United States, will finally defeat the enemy, democratic Europe, and proceed in helping right-wing political parties in Europe to get through elections and to become, new friends of the United States, like Viktor Orban, now in Hungary and a couple other countries. So this is a plan, but for Trump again, Putin is a major ally in his battle against world democracy. That's why he is helping Putin as much as he is able to help him to take Ukraine, because again, unless Putin is done with Ukraine, he is not able to proceed into Europe. And that's precisely what Trump needs. And that's precisely what Putin needs. So unfortunately, they are helping each other, and this is going to continue for the next 3 years when Trump is in office. I sincerely hope that he would not be able to stay there longer, although I'm sure that he will make attempts to stay longer as the President of the United States, but we will see how this would develop. But Trump knows basically that he has only 3 years. Putin knows that he has only 3 years. So this years, because as soon as Trump is out, a new president, doesn't matter who will be the next president, would come back to traditional American policy one way or another. So both Putin and Trump know that they have only 3 years to finish reach their objectives, to finish their political programs. And that's why these 3 years are going to be very difficult.